Hey guys, Gatsu here. Today I've got a slightly different video to what I'd usually do. So I got a really cool opportunity recently where I actually got in touch with the people at Moonquill and they sent me a review copy of their new release, Lord of Goblins. Lord of Goblins is an original English light novel. So I'm not going to lie and say I'm the most experienced person with light novels, but first thing I will say about this is that it's made me want to get into light novels like properly. So that's a testament to itself. But let me tell you what it's about first. So it's about a man. I believe his name is Leonard Arand Vandersteen. I believe he's referred to as Lev through the majority of the book. He is a politician trying to bring like positive change to the world. And he gets assassinated and wakes up in the body of a goblin, and hence the title Lord of Goblins. He kind of makes his way. The idea is that he's gonna make the change in the world of the goblins that he wanted to make in the world of the humans that he was originally in. So it's really interesting, and it does some very interesting things with the whole isekai genre. For example, so I'll try to be as spoiler free as possible. Anything I do say specifically will be from the early end of the book. But one thing that is interesting is so he gets into the body of a goblin called Germ, who's like this small, weak, frail goblinoid who he lives with his sister, and he's kind of just like known as this kind of lazy, just does what he has to get by, but doesn't won't go any further. The interesting thing that this does that's different to a lot of these other things is that Germ, kind of the original Germ, still kind of exists in his body, like his soul is there. So an interesting thing happens is you'll get Lev. He'll kind of have these conversations in his mind with the original Germ, and I think that adds a lot of kind of depth to the character and helps the reader understand kind of the differences between Lev and Germ, who he originally was. But yeah, so it's basically about his rise to power to eventually become the Lord of Goblins. And I loved this book. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, to be honest. It kept me wanting to read it. Like I'm generally, if something has a lot more words, I it kind of turns me off. But obviously, this being a light novel is a lot more words than I'm used to, and I just kept wanting to go back to it. So, like most light novels, it has some nice illustrations to go with it. Let me just show you one of the early ones. So you've got like that one there. And obviously the cover, I think the cover looks really nice. That's one of the things that really drew me towards it. But early on, it uses a lot of flashbacks and that to kind of set up the characters and, events that have happened between certain characters to set up their relationships. And although it may be a little confusing at first because of all the flashbacks, there's not much going on in modern time. By the end of the first volume, a lot of this pays off already, where you get some really cool, really interesting character interactions that I really enjoyed seeing play out. I feel that the action scenes are done really well as well. So, essentially, Lev in Germ's body kind of makes his own gang, essentially. So there's this whole gang warfare going on, and obviously he's quite frail, as I previously mentioned, so he has to use his brains to kind of outsmart his opponents and get people on his side and all sorts, and I feel that's done really well. There's a lot of like kind of speeches in that. Obviously, previously being a politician, he'll have experience with speeches and stuff like that to get people onto his side, and I feel that's all done really well. So some of the downsides are in one of the chapters specifically, because I don't want to just sing its praises, because there were a few issues I had with it. One of the flashback chapters specifically, was quite confusing with it. So it may sound a bit nitpicky, but basically it used the word had, like, kind of too much, if that makes sense. So it kind of like, he had made his decision, he had done this, he had done that, and it kind of took me out of it a bit, because it was the overuse of that one word kind of made it not flow properly, and it kind of took me out of it, and I had to kind of reread some of those sentences to kind of figure out what was actually happening. But I only really noticed that in one chapter. I think the majority of the book is written really quite well, which again I was quite surprised with, because obviously being with my prejudices going in, being an original English light novel and being printed by an indie publisher, I thought that maybe it might be almost not quite fanfic level, but you know, you kind of expect not as much of a professional approach to it. But really, I was genuinely pleasantly surprised. It felt like a complete book. Well done. There are a couple of mistakes here and there, but you get that with all sorts. But yeah, I was really impressed, and I think, you know, I like how this looks on my shelf, and to be honest, from what I've read, I think I'm going to be picking up the next volume, buying the next volume, because I really enjoyed this. I would definitely recommend, if you're a fan of like fantasy stuff and kind of political intrigue, moving your way up not just by brute force, but kind of, you know, outsmarting people. Like I feel like a lot of light novels that I know of do that similar kind of thing. I would definitely say give Lord of Goblins a try. I think it mostly does what it sets out to do, and it does what it does quite well. So I'll link down below where you can find this. I'll at least link the Amazon link. Also Moonquill as well. I'll link their website as well. So they publish web novels as well as they've gone into like physical publishing as well. So definitely check this out. And again, I want to say a big thank you to the people at Moonquill for sending me this. But yeah, I would definitely recommend people to check this out, because I really enjoyed it. As I said, it's gotten me really into light novels, so expect to see more light novel content on this channel soon. But yeah, so I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you next time.